Welcome to what will be a first YouTube video. Today we're going to be taking the Silvertop out of the new GQ and putting the factory turbo motor in, along with intercooler piping, exhaust, everything that we had in the old GQ. So this thing can be as is, but fast. So the new car still stands as, I guess you could say, OEM. Silvertop, everything is still in here. Like, it hasn't really been touched at all. So there's a lot to come out. So far, all I've done is fit the front mount intercooler. Had to cut the bull bar a little bit, but who cares? This bull bar will be gone soon. And the lift pump is mounted on the chassis under the car in the corner. So that saves us some time and effort. The new motor is completely ready to go. Manifold's been painted, dump and housing's been painted. I've changed the gasket on the oil cooler here with a genuine one, along with the rubber O-rings in there and there. And there's two little gaskets for this pressure relief valve here. Now we need to change the bearing in here, and the throwout bearing for the gearbox in that box there needs to get changed. Exhaust is laid out here. Everything's kind of scattered. Clutch, intercooler piping, fan, firewall insulation, custom clutch line. So it's all ready to go really. So we'll start with taking the bonnet off. From there, it's just a process of rip everything out. Look at these kids, Char Grill Charlie's in full swing. We're getting there, we're about halfway. We've got a lot of the lines off, a lot of the wiring disconnected. Still need to take the power steering off, the radiator cooling system, some more plugs, one bell housing bolt left. Luca is getting the exhaust off. We've got all the old parts here that won't be getting reused, NA things. The new motor has the bearing changed in the back and the clutch is put back together. Looking good. Situation we're in right now, we've got the forklift and this one's ready to come up. So straps through lifting points and up and out will be ready to go. So we've got everything disconnected, bell housing bolts, starter motor, heater core lines, all lined. Now we're gonna pull the motor up until the pins on the engine mount come out of the brackets that bolt to the motor for the engine mounts. And then you can trolley jack up with the gearbox so that we keep the angle of the two. And then we're gonna pull the motor forward once there's tension on it, and it should come forward and up, theoretically. You can see down here, that pin is still in the engine mount. So we're gonna lift it up till it comes out of that. And then you can monitor this gap here. You can see the flywheel in there. And we're gonna bring that up so that that pin comes up, and then that will come forward and we can come forward and out. Yep. All right, well, it just fell forward. How great's that? So you see that gap's all right, completely out. And now we're gonna have to pull the motor back away from the radiator and up. Still good at the back. Make sure everything's disconnected. So you can see here what I was saying with the trolley jack, that holds the gearbox up. Because when you let that down, that just leans straight forward, and the tail shaft at the back will be holding that up. All right, I've cleaned up the engine bay. Paint's pretty nice. I'm gonna put the firewall insulation on now. I've got the boosters out because I'm gonna be flipping them upside down so the vacuum hoses go straight down. All this wiring has to get sorted out. There's so much of it. The aircon is still in, it's hanging down. Hasn't been degassed, so I can have aircon still. So in case you don't know, the way these mount are, there are these little screw-on fittings and they go onto all these threads that are on your firewall. And then it just goes on. This only comes in the Series 2. I think it's from about 94 onwards. You can't buy them new. Everyone asks me, where'd you get your firewall insulation from? I got it from Birdo off this wrecked RD28 that he had in his yard, and I painted it. Can't get them new, don't try. You can only get them new for GUs. see what I mean by short fuel lines. So your standard fuel lines, supply and return, supply in here, out here, and the fuel pump on your TD is literally right here. So you have maybe 400 mil of fuel line, whereas instead of coming across the firewall, this is so much nicer, easier, and just, I don't know, there's no downsides. Something else I get asked really frequently is where the vacuum canister is on my car. I've moved it here, same as the previous car, because the vacuum pump on the factory turbos and the black tops is right here on the motor. So you simply just have a hose come over, in, out, up, and the boosters, you can see they're upside down so that the nipples, I guess you could call them, face downwards, and that just makes it look so much nicer. You don't have these lines coming up here, across here, and all that sort of stuff. It's just a lot shorter and simpler. Okay, so I'm just sorting out my situation with the vacuum canisters and how I'm going to run the hoses. The booster's upside down, so the needles point down. So we're going to have it mount like this-ish. It's probably going to have to be about that close. And then we'll have this come down with this, and this will come to the canister. And then from the canister, it'll just be another hose to the vacuum pump on the motor. So this is what we're at. This is what we've come up with. We have clutch booster, brake booster right here. Steering rack comes through here, straight down to my canister where I've mounted it on the chassis. All right. Well, hard to fully see with all the shit in the engine bay, but you can see they both come out here, T-piece, elbow, down, into the booster that's mounted right there. So now you don't have those ugly lines on top, right down there. So the motor's ready to go in, engine mounts are in, all the lines and stuff that I need to do while the motor's out are all done. So lift it up, lift it in, see how we go. So motor in is the same as motor out. These brackets, these engine mount brackets are going to go down, and then when they're roughly the same height as the top of the thread on the engine mounts, then you'll line the gearbox up with the input shaft, and then it all just goes back, slides in. Getting a little closer, they're almost lined up, and the flywheel, you can see we're kind of lined up down there. We just need to kind of lift the motor a bit and back in, and then it should sit in place. There we go. We've got lined up there. Engine mount is in, as you can see. So the motor is located where it will sit. First things first, couple bell housing bolts going to go in, and then we're going to bleed the clutch to make sure that we can disengage the clutch and it works, because otherwise this has to come back out so we can fiddle with it. So we've confirmed that the clutch works. We've got the bell housing bolts in. You can see that top one there. Side one's in, slave cylinder's in, and the other side up there is in. We've bled the slave cylinder and the whole clutch system. And you can roll the car with the clutch in and then drop the clutch while it's in first gear, and if the car stops, you know the clutch works. Or if you have the right crank hub nut tool, you can put the car in first gear and try and spin that, and if the car wants to move forward, you know the clutch is engaged, and then when you push the clutch in, do it again. If the motor free spins, you know the clutch is disengaging properly. That's really important that you do that as like the first step when you put the motor in, because if the clutch doesn't work, you're pulling the gearbox or motor again. So we're just going to finish putting all the bell housing bolts in, and then everything can bolt back up. Aircon compressor can go on, fuel lines, vacuum lines can get reconnected, cooling, literally just the process of doing what we took out. Exhaust is fully on completely. All that's left is the part where it connects to the gate, because I need to adjust the gate because you can turn it. I can't put the last section of the exhaust on, unfortunately, because the car's not quarter chopped. So my brilliant idea is I'll leave this here and then you'll never know. How cool's that? As for the lift pump, I've cut the lines. So your returns, your 8mm, the two really small ones are your brake lines, and your 10mm your supply. Cut it each side, mount it. You gotta make sure you put rubber between it. These things are very loud. And then rubber hose from here to the pump, and you just wire the pump into the ignition. Lift pump wired up, clamps are back onto the chassis for both. That's just gonna sit like that. Here's the progress. We've got the intercooler piping on, the gate and exhaust is all plumbed up. Wiring's done apart from the starter motor. Intercooler piping's done on this side. Fuel lines are done. Intake's on, dump pipes on. I just need to put all the earths on, wire the starter motor up, put some coolant in it, power steering fluid, make sure the brakes and the clutch work, and we'll be good to fire it up and go. We've managed to keep the aircon with the dose pipe and the dump pipe. You can just kind of manipulate that line out of the way, and these are a little bit difficult. So let's get this wired up, coolant and fluids in it, and we can start it and run it and make sure it works. This stuff right here, best stuff ever. If you can get your hands on it, get it and use it. Let me show you this quick little trick. Lift pump means that you can take the fuel supply off the fuel pump, and then you get your car keys. Go. And this is, yeah, it's good. Boom, fuel bleeding, made that easy. Coolant's in, power steering fluid's in, engine oil, everything's ready to go. And the fuel system's primed. So let's see how many clicks it takes. What's rattling? Test drive. We've filled up the power steering fluid. Coolant is allegedly bled. The exhaust is rattling like crazy, so you're gonna have to forgive that noise because that sounds nuts. Clutch feels heaps different, eh? Oh, it feels good compared to the NA.
Wow, this is crazy.
You'll have to forgive me because the clutch is at a completely different point, so I'm learning to drive manual. Intercooler pipe.
That's crazy. That sound, that's crazy. Us.
Right there, on the turbo. Oh, we didn't tighten it enough. All right, round two. We've put the intercooler pipes on properly this time.
And we've got a ratchet with us.
And we've got tools with us. Wow, that third gear is so much quicker. Holy shit. Third gear ends very quickly. Third gear, it comes to the end of third a lot faster. All right, that concludes swapping the motor in the Silvertop. We've been driving around for a day or two so far and it's been pretty flawless, no issues. We've had, I think the power steering pump might be leaking a little bit, but that could just be some of the fluid I spilt when we were topping it up. The clutch and brake boosters work perfect. They're aligned, the pedals are aligned, all works as should, because I had issues with that last time when we put this motor in the other car. Everything that's been wired up has worked perfectly. Everything on the dash still works. All the controls, everything OEM works perfectly. Haven't really had any hiccups. It's gone pretty smooth, but there's still a lot of cleaning up to do because it doesn't look as nice as you can see with the aircon lines and stuff. There's still a lot to do, but it's in, it works as it should, and it's great. And as for the temporary exhaust setup, the old fake little skinny 2-inch pipe. It is working. Look, it's working, but it is just chuffing soot everywhere. I can't have the 4-inch section on the back because the car's not quarter chopped, it doesn't fit. But this is working well. So that'll conclude this video YouTube, first video YouTube. I hope this was entertaining enough for you to watch. Hopefully I'll get better at making content and producing videos, because at the moment this is a first for me. So it's scary, intimidating, but I like it. I like making videos, content, and building cool shit like this. I find it fun. So thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. That way I know that you actually like watching this stuff, and I'll make more of it.